Hi everyone. I'm Nick Vitanza, a pediatric neuro-oncologist, a DIPG researcher, and the lead of our CNS CAR T-cell immunotherapy program at Seattle Children's. Just want to say thank you in advance for all of the support that you give us in this year through the Run of Hope. I know that it's an incredibly challenging year in a lot of ways, and that I hope everyone is staying as safe and healthy as possible. I also appreciate that this is a year, even for our own family, where you can't support all of the things that you normally would or would normally want to. But I remind you that the other tragedies in the world don't stop just because of the pandemic or other problems that we're going through as a country. In fact, the tragedy of pediatric brain tumors and the way families are infected is probably only compounded with all the other problems that we're having. So your support actually means more this year than it would in any other year. Other grant funding mechanisms are actually decreasing their funding, whether it's St. Baldrick's or whether it's the NCI or whether it's the NIH. They're actually awarding fewer grants this year. And more dollars are going to COVID-related research and away from things like pediatric brain tumors. But we know these families are still struggling. We know that many of these tumors are still fatal. We know that these families need more options and more hope, and that is possible thanks to you. So thank you for anything that you're able to give to the Run of Hope. Thank you for the support that you give to Seattle Children's. I also just want to share with you some of the things we've been able to do in the last few years that is only because of the support that we've gotten through the Run of Hope and the freedom that those dollars have given us. So first of all, we've been able to launch the largest CAR T-cell program in the world. So there's nobody else who has 3 open pediatric brain tumor specific CAR T-cell trials like we do. There's nobody else that's treated as many patients, now about 10 patients as we have. And there's nobody that's learned so much as an institution, and there's nobody who's shared so much with other institutions. We're regularly meeting with other groups that are looking to get their studies off the ground and helping them through the things we've already learned. One small example of a very specific thing we learned thanks to your help is that we weren't sure whether the CAR T-cells we were giving were better if given into the blood of the animals we treat with our pediatric brain tumor models, or whether we should give the CAR T-cells directly into the brains. We ran a study giving the CAR T-cells either into the blood or directly into the brain, and showed that by giving it directly into the brain, animals did much better, the tumors were shrunk faster, and we were able to cure more of the animals that we were enrolling in our studies. This is work that we were able to do through the Run of Hope, and this discovery that the CAR T-cells work better given in the brain has directly impacted our patients because now all of our CAR T-cell trials are designed so that the CAR T-cells are given directly into the brain. This is a small example of an experiment we had the freedom to do in the lab thanks to philanthropic support and the immediate impact it has on patients and for our clinical trials. And it's an example of how quickly we're able to translate things in Seattle Children's from the bench to the bedside to reaching patients. We've also been able to develop 5 new DIPG models that we've shared with the world, and while there were other DIPG models in circulation, we were the first people in the United States to share these models that were specifically from biopsies. So children with DIPG can't have a big resection, and so they have these very small biopsies when they're diagnosed, and we've found a way to take these microscopic samples, bring them to the lab, and then develop a model either in a dish or in mice of DIPG, and we've published several papers studying this. We have a paper that we're putting out now on the approach that we use to make these models so that other hospitals can copy what we do and develop more models so we can learn more. We also have another paper under submission right now defining 2 new drugs that work in these models that otherwise were never described before, and hopefully will lead to future clinical trials of these drugs. All these discoveries that we're able to make with CAR T-cells, immunotherapy, DIPG models, are all things that we couldn't do without your support. And while we're going after other grants, and while we have government support for these things, they don't give us the freedom that the support we get from the Run of Hope does. And they're also, money from grants is going away this year as more things are either going to COVID or things from St. Baldrick's to the NCI and the NIH are just awarding fewer grants. That doesn't change the fact that patients are clamoring to get on new clinical trials and to learn about new discoveries. And there's so many patients and families around the country that are in need of hope. And we're only able to deliver that with your support. So on behalf of the over 100 patients who have reached out to me hoping to get on our CAR T-cell trials, on behalf of the patients who have been able to enroll that otherwise didn't have hope or other options, and on behalf of all the patients who in the future will hopefully help and change their outcomes because of the work that we're doing in the lab now, thank you so much. Those of us that see patients, those of us that work exclusively in the lab, we all work as a team at Seattle Children's, and we couldn't do the work that we do without you. So thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity. Again, I know it's a challenging year, but please give what you can and hope that everyone stays as safe and healthy as possible. So thank you again.